Konnichiwa minasan. Kyo desu. So, interesting video I'm going to react to today is Japan, a dying country. This is bound to be spicy. I'm looking forward to hearing this to give my commentary. And without further ado, ikimashou.
Silence greets visitors to Nagoro, a small mountainous village in western Japan. Not a living soul can be seen walking along the deserted streets. Only creepy, life-size dolls are seen dotting the landscape. Dolls outnumber humans 10 to 1. 270 dolls to be exact, compared to only 27 residents.
Kawaii.
The dolls are the creations of one of Nagoro's few remaining residents, 69-year-old Tsukimi Ayano. She started to create the dolls to help cure her loneliness and sense of despair each time she returns home. Most residents of this tiny village have left a long time ago in search of employment or have died.
そういう実際に住んでて今亡くなられた人とか自分が気に留まった人がおったりしてそういう人形を作ったりしています。
Here at this village, you can't even hear children's laughter. That's because there are no more children. The last school closed down in 2012. The youngest person living is 55 years old.
もちろん若い衆が帰ってこんけんな、若い連中が帰ってきて何かをやろうっていう企業を起こせばいいんだけどな、そんなもんこともできるんだろうと思うけんね。やっぱりこれは今おる27名でな、これいろいろ話をしようで、まあこの集落をな維持するようなことをせねえなと思います。
The problem facing the people of this village is also being replicated in many parts of the country. Mention Japan, and the image of a cool, vibrant, and energetic country comes to mind. Cities like Tokyo that don't sleep, 24 million tourists a year, urban landscapes that psychedelic, high-speed bullet trains. But once you step out into rural Japan, that's when the crisis of a population decline hits you squarely. The latest data from Japan's Internal Affairs Ministry reveals that the Japanese population has fallen for 10 years in a row.
Wow.
To paint a stark picture, in 2017, Japan had 900,000 babies born.
Even less this year.
But that year, 1.3 million people died, which means that Japan's population was negative 400,000. In other words, there were more dead people than babies born. Can a country literally die out?
結婚する人が減るとダイレクトに子供の数は必ず減ります。結婚の数が減ると、結婚しない人が増えると。
Said that countless times.
35-year-old Akihito Kondo works as a school administrator. The soft-spoken bachelor ticked all the right boxes of an ideal husband. He's well-educated, holds a steady job, and has his own apartment. In 2018, he married Hatsune Miku. Miku is not an ordinary girl. She's a pop star hologram, a character that exists in the virtual world.
This is what I've been saying in countless times in my videos, is that the youth are the life source of the country. When you have no young people, you know, that's the life, that's the vibrant, that's the energy of the country. And now you see there's more people dying than being born. And it affects the economy because there's no young, youthful people who are physically fit to start up businesses and create revenue coming in Japan. And again, when people are not getting married, and I said this countless times, marriage is the foundation, and families are the foundation of any country, any society, any community. And when that goes away, everything else is going to go downhill.
Akihito's reason for not marrying a real woman is that he was very unpopular in school back then and was often bullied by the girls. Hurt and frustrated, he lost all interest in girls. That's when he met Miku in the virtual world. He fell in love with her and decided to marry her instead.
やっぱり女性に対してトラウマができてしまったので、私にとってはもうその落ち込んでる時に初音ミクのその動画見たりイラスト見たりっていうので救われたんですよ。だから私にとっては初音ミクっていうのは好きな女性であって私を救ってくれた存在なんです。
Akihito's experience, as unusual as it appears, is indicative of a growing problem facing Japan today. Last year, the number of marriages fell to a post-war low of 580,000, down by some 20,500 from the previous year. Even Japanese experts believe there's nothing the government can do to encourage more singles to get married and have children.
Cultural problem needs to be fixed
Numerous
by the
reform
people.
measures have been put into place to try and boost the country's birth rates, including offering free early childhood education. Yet, birth rates continue to slide, and that has put a drag on the nation's growth, which has stalled since the early 1990s. One way to resolve the issue is to open the doors to foreign workers.
As part of the solution, the Abe government has been proposing a more friendly immigration policy, which is allowing immigrant workers to stay in Japan for a bit longer than they used to be.
In April 2019, the program accepted some 40,000 workers from overseas in 14 fields which are facing acute labor shortages, including nursing care, food service, IT, agriculture, and construction. Experts, however, believe that it may not be enough to mitigate the phenomenon of a dwindling workforce in the country.
It needs to be fixed internally. Cultural problem, not a government problem.
一
Cultural.
国一民族一言語なので、大体日本語しか喋れない人が大半を占めていますし、日本の労働環境というとやっぱりその長時間労働っていうものがある程度その是とされている部分っていうのがやっぱり外国人の皆さんにはですね結構伝わってまして、日本市場自体があまりその人気が出ないと言われるのがもともと言われているところです。
Traditionally, Japan has always been known as an insular and a culturally homogeneous country. Until today, it has not fully embraced the idea of a large-scale immigration. But when push comes to shove, the country has no choice but to force through a change in the country's traditional values. In a traditionally male-dominated society, Prime Minister Shinzo Abe made history in 2013 when he announced a strategy of womenomics to enable more women in the labor force. Now, estimates show that if Japan can close the gender gap in the labor force, GDP can increase by 15%. So, can women save the Japanese economy?
I don't think so, because statistically speaking, women naturally have a desire, most women have a natural desire to get married and have children. When you put women in the workforce, it's a temporary solution, but women can't handle the stress as much as men can with the long work hours, the physically demanding jobs, and eventually 10, 20 years down the road, you're going to have a lot of older women who cannot work as fervent as they used to when they were younger. It's a temporary solution, but it's not a long-term solution. It's actually going to cause more harm, because that's what's happening in the West, where we're having a lot more highly educated, high-paying women who are not married and they're miserable. And you can even see in other countries like Korea, where they're having a problem, a crisis of many women over 40 years old who are not married and they can't make enough money to pay their rent. So now you have a whole bunch of people who are unemployed or potentially homeless, and the government is trying their hardest to scramble to fix this problem, but the government can't fix that. That's the cultural problem. The people have to come together to fix that.
Even as the Japanese government continues to grapple with its labor crisis and aging population, in rural towns like Nagoro, it may be too late to turn back the clock.
考えても仕方ないじゃないですか。先のこと考えてね。今こんな津波があったりしてすぐね、今日今こうして元気でも明日のことわからん時代でしょ。そんなんやったら先のことね、暗いこと考えんと、自分は今楽しく明るくやっていくいうそんな気も考えるのものですので。
very, very depressing. Very depressing. So I don't want to make this video too long, but I mean, as someone who has a very deep love for this country, you know, Japan, I don't know why, but it's a country I love. I love the people. I love the culture. I love this country. So when I hear things like this, it breaks my heart because I'm like, man, one of my favorite places in the world, their country is dying, you know, and it's depressing seeing all women making dolls because there's no there's less and less humans living in their village, and it's happening to other villages around Japan, you know, where people are lonely. So you have a guy who's been traumatized by women, so he starts marrying virtual women. You know, it's like humanity is decaying, you know, and as much as the government may try to do its best to solve these problems, this is a cultural problem. Me personally, I think the Japanese really need to evaluate their beliefs, their customs, and really question and say, is this actually helping our people? Instead of saying, okay, this is what the Japanese have done for years, so just let us be. It needs to be, okay, what is the best possible things we can do to get better results for our people and for our country? Because in the next 10 to 20 years, you know, I have a really pessimist prediction that if nothing really changes, Japan's economy is going to collapse because there's no young people coming in, becoming innovators or creating businesses. Marriages are on the low, so people are lonely, as you can see with that guy who was so traumatized, and people need to be healed from their trauma because now he's a good man, seems like, and now he married a virtual woman, and women are entering the workforce, which is fine. Again, women can make any of the choices they want. However, in the long run, eventually you're going to start seeing a lot of the consequences of these actions, having a lot of women who are not married and older, who has no one to take care of them. But that's what I think. But again, I'm always interested to hear what you guys think in the comment section below. So please leave your comments. So if you guys like the video, please smash that like button, smash the subscribe button. Also hit that bell as well to get notified whenever we post a video. Arigatou gozaimasu. Minasan. Ja ne.